Today, every day, small cap investors visit Agoracom knowing this is the day to discover the world's next great company, to have their dreams come true. That's why I take to the open road, to find them, to tell their stories, to engage them, to bring them to life, because they want to connect with you from your office, your phone, your home, anywhere. Agoracom, find your dream.
Welcome to CEO Interviews, a production of Agoracom, in which we take the time to speak with CEOs about what's going on at their companies. For the first time ever, we got Brad Loiselle, not for the first time ever with him, but we got Brad Loiselle, CEO of BetterU Education Corp. And what I mean by the first time ever is he's in the back of a London cab talking to us. That's how important it is talking to you. The company trades on the TSX Venture and the stock symbol BTRU, and for our friends in Frankfurt under 50GA. Really quick summary about the company if you don't know them. They're the only global education marketplace serving India, the largest such marketplace in the emerging markets, 53,000 programs, significant customers, many billion-dollar organizations, including Indian Oil Corp, Central Bank of India, and the telecom sector Council to skill millions. Partners include the likes of Adobe, Rosetta Stone, and others. And just recently, they announced the addition of the former managing director of Yahoo India and CEO of Forbes India to the team to support BetterU. Brad, welcome to the show.
Hey, good to talk again. I know we've been doing these chats as I've been traveling around. It's good that we're doing it because, we haven't been very vocal about our efforts, but we thought this is a good way to get people to see that we're actually doing stuff and we're out about working with corporates and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm glad to talk to you.
And so everyone at home realizes, you're on your way to the airport to fly back home from London. And, we want to get you on here as to how it went before you that's why you're in the back of a cab, which is amazing because you're in between meetings on your way. For people at home, just a quick recap, we've had this on the move kind of theme over the last month and a half. We've had two interviews. The first one was you're on the move with respect to developments and things like that, developing new software, developing the system, some great upgrades going. And then a couple of weeks ago, we had you on inside of India. You've been traveling there for several weeks, moving between Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, back into Mumbai. We had you on with Gurmit Singh, and things went great. So this is the update trip because you went off to London to talk about financing with some pretty important people. But the first thing I want to ask you is, just finishing off with India, how did it go with the corporates? Who did you meet there? And can you tell us anything about them? Because you and Gurmit were very excited last time we spoke to you.
Yeah, no, it was an incredible trip. I went down. I'll be quite honest, I was nervous because when I first went down, I was thinking I gotta show the world that what we're building makes sense. And the first meeting started off great with NSDC. The CEO we met for breakfast, and then he set up another meeting, and I think that's when we talked before we had met with them. We were still in Bangalore.
And by hold on, but for everyone at home, NSDC is the National Skills Development Corporation.
Yeah, so NSDC is it was put in place by the Minister of Finance to help skill up across 138 sector skills, hospitality, aerospace, all those different groups. Their goal was to skill up 150 million people. They need a lot of training partners, and their mandate, they work with World Bank and a lot of global partners to try and provide access to the technology, education, and really help solve the skilling issue across the country. There have been challenges with what they've been trying to accomplish, simply because you need a lot of education to skill up 38 sectors, and every sector has millions of people across industry and job roles. There's so much. I've met with them a dozen times over the years. This last trip was important because we had now finalized the concept for our skilling engine, which integrates the national occupational standards of NSDC. And we've taken years to integrate this. And I remember when we first sat down and talked with him, he goes, "You've been building this? We've been trying to build this." And I said, well, the problem was everything was built in PDFs, and we had to reverse engineer the PDFs to pull up the data, to build our database. And he said, oh, we've done that. He goes, we should have been collaborating a long time ago. I said, we probably should have. So we ended up meeting with their team in Delhi, and it was a senior team, all the leadership from head of partnerships and head of strategic alignment, and someone from the minister was there. It lasted a long time, lots of questions. And after the end of it, they said, yeah, we're going to move forward. We're going to sign an agreement with you guys. So we're going through the process of building this relationship and defining the roles and responsibilities to support them. We talked about a big initiative next month and how we can do it together, promoting us across the sector and a whole bunch of different things. It was a phenomenal meeting. So there's going to be some good stuff coming out of that.
So obviously the National Skill Development Corporation, that's a massive mandate. There's a lot to get done there. Where do you start with this initiative going forward from here? What's the first couple of things you focus on to get that relationship going?
Well, we during our meeting, we talked about focusing on a couple sectors itself, because there's 38 sectors, right? So there's a lot of sectors, a lot of education required. We talked about possible collaborations of the current partners they have. We discussed them promoting us across the country. We looked at an event that we can launch that makes sense for our partnership perspective and what we're trying to accomplish. So in the MOU the agreement that we've been building, we define the roles and responsibilities of what BetterU is going to do for NSTC, what NSTC is going to do for BetterU, collectively what we're going to do together in the market, so that we're achieving their skilling initiatives and customizing learning based on the different sectors, integrating some of the sector skill council, so that it's a collaborative system that we're able to work together on. So there's a lot of planning that needs to happen. The first step was the MOU defining the roles and responsibilities to make sure we're on the exact same page. And then once that's done, which I suspect will be done in the next little bit, won't take too long, because they were very keen to move forward, and we've already had some back and forth on it already. And then the next step, which will be good for us, will give us is the July 15th date that we discussed about. It's Global Skills Day in India for the world, and doing some sort of promotional event around that day, where lots of media will be focused on Skill India, skilling initiatives, to announce a partnership between BetterU and NSTC at that time. Gives us time to ramp up our team and make sure we have the proper support in place to handle the impact in the market, because NSTC is a top organization in the country. So by partnering with us, that credibility to us and our initiatives and what we've been building is significant. But that significance comes with concern from our part that we need to make sure we're prepared. So it gives us another, we're in the May, yeah. So we have another month and a bit to start preparing everything and planning how we're going to execute together. It's a lot of work, but I got to tell you, it's so fun that they see what we've been building to help the country, because they don't partner with everybody.
Well, the smile on your face says it all about how big this could be. And amazingly, this is an interview on the fly here. We got in contact and let's get this done before we get to the airport. I was actually going to ask you the question about credibility, and you mentioned it, which is, so I just wanted to dive a little bit deeper. What does this do for your reputation across India if and when, a National Skills Day, this announcement comes out, you're working together with the National Skill Development Corporation? What does that do for your reputation across India?
Well, from a credibility perspective, it validates that what we've been building, it makes sense. It also helps support all of our content partnerships across the world, because they now become part of a larger initiative. Skill India is mandated by the Prime Minister. It is a big initiative to try and solve hundreds of millions of people that are struggling with access to the right skills and all those different types of things. So this, by having NSTC say that they're now partnering with BetterU, and we're going to work closely on executing and integrating all the stuff that we've been building for years with them and their partners, and to help solve the problem collectively. That's our goal. Our goal, just like theirs, to solve this massive problem. But for them to put their support behind what we're doing, it shows the country that, okay, BetterU is somebody that has risen to the top in terms of the value offerings that we have. They've recognized that now. Once they've saw the partnerships and the integration of our technology, upskill engine that we've been building, they flat out said during that meeting, they see the value of what we've been building. Now let's see how we can integrate together with what they're trying to accomplish for the country.
Now, Brad, if that was the only thing you accomplished on this trip, that would be a massive success for you. That's a massive win for the company. But on top of this, with the government entity, You also met with a number of corporates. Last time we talked to you straight from India, from the lobby of the hotel, along with Gurmit. You guys were very excited about who you had met with, and you had more meetings happening. So I'm not sure how specific you can be with names and things that are going on, but who else did you end up meeting with, and how did the corporate side end up for you on this trip?
So I'll put it this way. We've met with 13 groups in total. 12 of them want to move ahead. And we're now going through agreement discussions. We're talking about how we can support them in online, how we can support them with in-class training combination. I'll name a few of them. We can't get into details about the specifics until we announce the press release and we've finalized our deal with them. But McDonald's India is one. Every is a multi-billion-dollar organization. We met with Clove Dental, which is one of the largest dental franchises in India. And funny enough, this is ironic, I broke my tooth when I was in India, so I had to go to a dentist to get them to fix it. But it was funny that we met with the largest dental group in the country. And then we met with groups like Uebic, which is the largest cookie manufacturer. So they make all the little cookies and pastries and stuff that go into all the airlines across the country. So we met with that group. We met with some engineering companies. That probably the quickest conversation I had, where they said we want to move forward to the next step. It was about 10 minutes after we sat down and started going through everything. They had pre-done their due diligence on BetterU. They were on our marketplace, and they had all these questions. Yeah, we saw this, we saw that. So how do we move forward? And then they gave us a tour of their plant. So we got to see some really cool innovation that they were building, from air conditioning seats and air conditioned vests for hot weather. Like, it was really neat things to see, solar panel stuff that they had. So we went through multiple cities. We met with multiple corporates, and now we're working on a lot of proposals, because each one had a different interest, from custom content development, a collaboration of our educators to build custom programs for their employees, as well as upskilling and how to integrate that. So each meeting was very, very good. So over the next couple months, you're going to start seeing, I think, a lot of these corporates coming to fruition. Some are more active than others. We've been already seeing some interest and next steps happening since before I even left India. But you'll start seeing those announcements.
Well, that's amazing, because again, it's almost like you and I are simpatico here. That's what I was going to ask you, which is, how long will it take? What are you expecting in terms of when some of these contracts start to come to fruition? Because they do have to, but you've already answered. It looks like within a couple of months, you're expecting at least some of those agreements to start happening, coming to fruition, being finalized. So that's an amazing trip, Brad. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you, and as to how things went for BetterU?
I'm easily a 10. I quite honestly, and I just mentioned this earlier, I was nervous about coming down, because it's so important that we prove to the market that what we're building makes sense, and to walk into all these corporates, go through the presentation, show their capabilities, our platform, our integration, everything, and to have the reaction that we've been having, where they're surprised, and then they start drilling down, asking questions. Well, how will you do this? How will you handle that? How can we integrate this? All those things have resulted in these guys now saying, yeah, we'd like to move forward. We get a proposal on this. We'd like to start talking about that. McDonald's, can we get a proposal on these things? We'd like to talk about how we're going to move forward with that. So there, all these different things that have come out of it were very exciting, because these HR leads and heads, in most cases, don't actually have an ed tech partner. And it's because India's maturing, right? India's growing, and the corporates are looking for ways of efficiencies and things like that. So they don't know what they don't know. For us to come in with our presentation and detail everything out, it surprises a lot of them. And then, of course, the confidence that comes in. We've had many hugs with some of these heads of HR, which was incredible. How excited and passionate they were about our relationship. So
I love.
We're on the right track.
You actually got hugs. You're saying you actually got hugs from some of these HR people? That's amazing.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, one meeting lasted an hour and a half, and she didn't want to leave. Her VP came in to say hello and introduce us, and then we had another meeting. She's like, "I wish I didn't have to go. I wanted to keep going through everything." It was a good trip. Very good trip. Gurmit was thrilled. He during our meetings, he's like, "Holy geez, Brad, we have a lot of work to do." And I'm like, "I know, but isn't this exciting?"
Now, we touched on it. We touched on him in our last interview, but safe to say now that the trip is over, that having Gurmit by your side in a lot of these big corporate meetings clearly was obviously your technology is a big differentiator, but having him there was a huge credibility gap that helped you move along these relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, he was very. We also tapped into the Canadian government when we were down there, so I introduced him to them, and you know, Canadian government has offices all over the place, and credibility is so huge in the country. Gurmit has great credibility. When we go to meetings, people know who he is, and we started leveraging our other credibility with our government, with Canadian government. So EDC and the Trade Commission Services Office, you know, they were very supportive. We met with them, talked about what we're building. They gave us introduction to a couple other corporates, like Clove Dental actually was through them. They gave us that introduction. We went in, met with them, and they, you know, just all these little incremental, credible partners just help increase our value, you know, increase who we are.
Now, the reason you're in London, skipping over, you know, traveling now from India to the UK, you're in London, is you had mentioned in our last interview that you're on your way to London to talk to some potential financing, some potential financing sources. Can you tell us with as many specifics as you can, or if you can't, can you tell us how that went and what the prospects look like coming out of London?
You know, it was interesting because it was at this fancy club, private membership club. It was it's a group called the Global Partnerships Family Offices. So it's a membership of 2,500 family offices with a net, each having their own net investable assets of 130 million US. So wealthy, like old money type stuff. The presentation was good. They recorded my first presentation, and which was interesting because I didn't know, I had no idea what they're going to do with that. But apparently, if the presentations went very well, then they're going to distribute it to all 2,500 members. So there was about 50 members. There was a networking event the night before. We had lots of conversations, lots of interest. But what was interesting is when we were talking to the group, it was hard to read the crowd. And only afterwards, because you had only 20 minutes to talk. Afterwards, I was approached by the coordinators of the event, and they said, yeah, we've gotten approached by several of our members saying your presentation was one of the best presentations they've seen. And I'm like, really? I'm like, that's fantastic, because I couldn't read the crowd at all. I was like, they were nodding, and some had questions, but it wasn't very interactive. And then afterwards, I got approached by several. I got maybe 24 cards of people that were interested, took notes on the cards, and started to do follow-ups while I'm here, and I'm going to do some when I get back. But the level of interest was quite interesting, and from my take on it, I think we got people that are very interested in us over there, because after some of the comments and afterwards, it was I liked it. I liked it a lot. Well, and it's not money, like we're not chasing $25,000 or $10,000. Like this is like serious groups.
Well, each family office has investable asset, has a base of about $150 million. So I would have to presume that their minimum investment's got to be 7 digits at the end of the day for each one if they make an investment.
Yeah, it's between £500,000 to £5 million is typical range that each office will make an investment in. So we also got from some groups there asking if from a capital perspective they were interested, asking if we can expand into Africa. We had 2 groups that asked us if we can do that. We had one group from Dubai that I guess the family office part of Dubai asked if we would be interested in doing stuff in the Middle East and how we could expand BetterU into those countries. We talked about that, and I explained to them that at the end of the day, it comes down to capital. It comes down to resources. We're a team of 13 people, and for what we've been building across India and globally with the partnerships, resources are required for us to build our team, to grow this out. Sure. It was great though.
How long do you think it'll be until you have an idea as to whether the financing side was successful in London? Would you expect to start hearing, serious commitments of interest in the next couple of weeks, the next 30 days? What do you think that window looks like?
I would say the next month. These guys, I've come to realize when you're dealing with large family offices, they don't necessarily move quickly. They're very diligent on who they partner with, and they build relationships. It's not for them. There's not that they don't have this mandate to go out and start closing deals, and they have to issue the funds. Because it is a family office, family money, and all that kind of stuff. They want to make sure they're making the right investments. One guy had told me that part of their investment is making sure they like you. Like he goes, they want to make sure that they want to work with you as an individual, and that they like how you communicate and how you. I'm going under a tunnel. I made illusion, just so you know. Sure. All those personal relationships was very important to them. He said, aside from the business is business, but we as a family office need to make sure that we have a relationship. It's going to be a long-term relationship. So it's interesting. I think we have a great opportunity. I really do.
Well, Brad, it looks like you're going under a tunnel. Looks like going under a tunnel. So, you know, that's what happens when you go live sometimes. And we've got you frozen on the screen, but that's actually a perfect place maybe to end it right there. For everyone at home, you've been watching Brad Loiselle. He's CEO of BetterU Education Corp. The company trades on the TSX Venture Exchange. Pardon me with my voice. Trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol BTRU. You've watched Brad for the past couple of interviews. He was, you know, in India. Now we're in the UK. Things are obviously happening there. So make sure you do your due diligence. Get to a Agoracom, punch in the company's name or stock symbol. Take a look at the profile information where it neatly summarizes everything about the company, especially if you're watching this for the first time. And then start asking questions by posting them to the forum, and you'll get answers back from Brad and his team. But otherwise, a fantastic. Hey, Brad, if you're back, I'm going to give you the last words there, because while you're kind of in the tunnel, I was signing off. But any last words before you get on the plane as to, you know, how great of a trip this was and how things are now looking for BTRU?
It's looking great. You know, I've started to validate that our model is making sense. The corporate partners that we're meeting with are all interested. You know, we just have to keep driving the business forward with these corporates, multiple corporates that we have. So we talked about strategies on how to do that. The ending of this is perfect because I'm actually pulling up to the airport now. You know, we have great opportunity. We just need more people. We need more resources to execute on what we have coming pipeline. You know, should have. Unfortunately, it's been challenging, but we're a company that doesn't quit. Our goal and our vision is too important, so we're going ahead.
Well, Brad, I'll end off with this comment, which is that's the problem all successful tech companies have is they're growing, more opportunities are happening, and they got to keep growing. That's a great problem to have, as opposed to, hey, George, we've got a team here, and we're twiddling our thumbs half the time because we can't close anything. So congratulations. Have a safe trip. Perfect timing. Thanks so much for joining us from the first ever interview on Agoracom from the back of a London cab. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time, buddy.
You bet. See you later, George.